Hello, and welcome to you all. My name is Gadjef McNeil, and it is my pleasure to serve as the host for this webcast. For the past 19 years, towns, counties, and states around the country have observed National Alcohol and Drug Addiction Recovery Month in September. The Illinois Department of Human Services Division of Alcoholism and Substance Abuse, otherwise known as DASA, has observed a variety of celebrations and events during Recovery Month throughout the years, and this year is no exception. This webcast is a first for DASA and is presented in honor of National Recovery Month. Let me mention that the broadcast is supported in part by funding from the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services Administration, HHS, Substance Abuse and Mental Health Service Administration, also known as SAMHSA, and the Center for Substance Abuse Treatment. In honor of the 19th observance of the National Recovery Month, Governor Rod Blagojevich has declared via proclamation that September is a celebration of recovery throughout the state of Illinois. It is important to note that National Recovery Month is celebrated, firstly, to promote the message of recovery and those in recovery, to reduce the stigma of addiction, and finally, to reaffirm the crucial role of effective substance abuse treatment in the nation's effort to reduce illicit drug use. This year's theme, Join the Voices of Recovery, Real People, Real Recovery, is intended to focus national attention on the problem. And that's just what we intend to do in two major sections. The first segment of this program will feature the faces and voices of real people in recovery, telling their individual stories of recovery. The second half of the program will present the addiction workforce, Voices for the Field, with experts working in many areas of the addiction workforce, as well as the number of students preparing for a career in the field. There will be time at the end of the webcast for questions and answers for viewers. You can email a question to the following address: recoverymonth.moses@gmail.com. Once again, that's recoverymonth.moses@gmail.com. Facilities for this webcast have been provided by Harold Washington College, and the webcast is produced in collaboration with Harold Washington College, one of the city colleges of Chicago. Let me present Mr. John Wozniak, the president of the college. Mr. Wozniak.
Thank you. Good afternoon. And first of all, I'd like to make a special welcome to those of you that are here with me in the room and everybody that's virtually present to downtown Chicago. For those of you that don't know, Harold Washington College occupies the northeast corner of Chicago's historic loop, and we're especially proud of our alcohol and substance abuse program. We're especially proud of the faculty members involved in it, and most proud of our students. We're glad that we can participate in a small way with the State Division of Alcohol and Substance Abuse to make this possible. And I'm sure that you're going to learn a lot this afternoon. And if you're warming up your keyboard right now, or however you're going to get in touch with us, we look forward to hearing from you. Thank you.
Thank you very much, President Wozniak, for your welcome. The next individual I'd like to introduce you to is Dr. Theodore Binion Taylor. The Division of Alcoholism and Substance Abuse is the single state authority for the state of Illinois. Dr. Taylor, as the director of DASA, is the embodiment of the Single State Authority, or the SSA. She's very beloved and respected not only in DASA, but throughout this nation. At this time, Dr. Binion Taylor.
Good afternoon to you all. It is really wonderful to be here. The theme, once again, real people, real recovery. So with that in mind, I will repeat my name. My name is Theodora Benyon Taylor, and I am grateful to be recovering 29 years tomorrow from my own addiction to alcohol and drugs. Now I say this, I enjoyed the applause, but the reason that I take time to say this is that one of the principal reasons that we do this is to drag recovery out into the sunshine, to let people know that people do recover, that people can go on to having marvelous lives, holding wonderful positions of responsibility, and in fact help other people. Now most of us know, just walking up and down the streets in our own communities, that alcohol and drug dependence is a fairly widespread health and social problem. It is not simply a social problem or a moral problem. We at DASA consider dependence disorder as a medical problem that has consequences that affects a person's social functioning. There are estimates that as many as 69% of our country is affected in one way or another by dependency. So we're talking about millions of people who suffer from a substance use disorder. This may be alcohol, the most widely misused substance, illicit drugs, prescription drugs, and now we recognize that even gambling is a serious dependency disorder. It doesn't matter how old you are, what neighborhood you live in. It doesn't matter whether you're black, white, Latino, Asian, or any other racial or ethnic group. Your community likely has been exposed and is suffering from some dependence disorder, whether it's the community as a whole that has an issue with its ability to deal with illicit drug use in its own borders, or whether it's your own family, your neighbors, your friends. But this is the good news. And there is good news. There is hope. There is hope for recovery. There are programs and organizations. There are strategies and treatments. There is evidence-based practices, all that converge upon an individual in trouble and helps them change, helps them to develop the kind of habits and skills to achieve abstinence, to improve their health, to improve their well-being. We are very, very happy to be able to have people here today who will share their story of recovery. They are a testament, and not just a testament, they are a mighty testament that there is hope and that recovery is possible. I would now like to introduce our voices of recovery. They will each share their individual story. God bless you.
Thank you, Dr. Taylor, for that very inspiring speech. Dependence on alcohol or drugs is a widespread health and social problem that in some way negatively affects as much as 69% of the country, as Dr. Binion Taylor just said. But keep in mind, this doesn't really touch on what actually goes on in the field in terms of actual use. A substance use disorder means that a person is dependent on or abuses alcohol and or drugs, including prescription drugs. Substance abuse affects people regardless, as she said, race, ethnicity, class, employment status, or community. An estimated 22.6 million people age 12 years old, ladies and gentlemen. That's 9.2% of the population had a substance use problem in 2006. Addiction also includes gambling, as she also mentioned. The good news is recovery and hope. We're going to hear the stories of several individuals in recovery. They are a testament to the fact that recovery can happen. Now I'd like to introduce our Voices of Recovery, who will share their individual story. They will introduce themselves to you and show you the paths that they have taken to this place we're calling recovery.
Good afternoon. My name is Matthew McFarland. I'm a recovering alcoholic. And I'll tell you, I am truly grateful to be here today. This is not the first time that I've been on TV. Back on March 13th of 2005, when in total desperation to get more drugs, I stole a minivan from a gas station in Steger, Illinois, leading the police on a high-speed chase up and down the Calumet Expressway, with them shooting at me, ending up, of course, at home. Mom's proud, I'm sure, of that moment. But nonetheless, that was one of my bottoms. You know, that was my bottom, in fact. And I can recall, as the police were shooting at me, behind me on the expressway, as the windshield disappeared, I remember thinking, they're going to have to either kill me or put me in prison because I can't go on like this. Thank God they put me in prison. I can't believe I'm saying that, but actually I am grateful for that. I went to a place called Sheridan Correctional Center where I was able to receive drug treatment for my problem. While I was in Sheridan, I went through a gateway program, was there a total of 14 months, and completed that successfully, got out and received even more treatment on an outpatient basis. It's an absolute miracle that I'm here today, I'm not supposed to be, When I took that minivan, I was actually on a waiting list to get into a treatment center, and, it maybe a few more days or something if I could have gotten in there, but the point is that I did eventually receive treatment, and treatment works. I can't, I'm so grateful that I'm a testament to this thing, that recovery is possible and it works, because if it can work for me, it can work for anybody. I was a serious drug addict. I was an IV heroin user. I've shot 26 bags of heroin a day. I was on methadone, and I was a crack addict as well. Did a lot of drinking in between there, too, if you can imagine that. So, when I went through treatment, I learned a lot about myself. I learned how to live. I got some coping skills and some tools to use when I got out. Those are the same coping skills and tools that I use today to maintain my sobriety. Life is different for me today. I'm not driving around looking through the rearview mirror, afraid that a police officer might get behind me. I've established new relationships. I've repaired relationships. One with my mother that I'm very proud of. I remember getting out of prison and going through treatment and having friends, little things, little accomplishments that meant the world to me. Like getting my first state ID. At the time, it seemed like everything, and it still does. These are huge things that happened to me. Getting my first job. I remember going to a place and begging them for an entry-level position, just please give me a shot, I think that may have been what I had been missing for some time is a chance. But I can tell you that I'm here today, several promotions later, earned the respect and trust back from my family, friends, and society. I now run the men's detox units at Haymarket Center, and I'm giving back to society. And I'm really grateful for that. So if I can send any message to the viewing public and to the audience, it's that treatment and recovery works and is possible. It worked for me. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Hi, I'm Chloe Salazar, and I'm a recovering addict. Growing up in America, we're used to instant gratification. We want results now. I just remember always knowing, like as a kid, a pill will fix it all. There's Tylenol for headaches, Benadryl for allergies, and when you can't sleep. And, there's commercials for it all over. You see billboards and like ads in the magazines. And, 10 minutes later, that problem was fixed temporarily. Like there's never like a pill that can't help you fix it. It would be like this numbness that would just, overpower you, and you just always remember that feeling of being numb, and you always crave that feeling. As an addict, I lost sight of all my priorities, all my morals, and dreams and values. I hurt people I loved. I hurt people I didn't know, strangers, family, friends, everybody. I have 9 brothers and sisters at home and 2 loving parents that I hurt very, very much, and I didn't even realize it. It's just, addiction is a very selfish disease. And I've been using on and off for about 4 years, and I believe that I might not have the same story as the person sitting next to me to my left or right, but we still go through the same emotions. I still feel the same pain that they did. I might not have stolen a minivan, but I still feel the same pain that they went through as an addict. I believe that it's a progressive disease, and I went through all of those stages: curiosity, social, daily habitual abuse, and gradually I ended up as an addict. I was a slave to my disease, and I was consumed in my own self-hate and imprisoned by my bad decisions. I believe that it's never too late to get help, and I found myself isolated and confined to my room. For days upon end, I would just lock myself in my room and not come out. The week before I found myself in treatment, I can only recall about 10 minutes from that whole week. The whole 7 days, I remember about 10 minutes. I was in the emergency room of St. Alexius Hospital on June 2nd, and about 18 hours later, I was escorted by an ambulance over to Alexian Brothers Behavioral Health Hospital. I spent about 2.5 weeks there in their psych ward detoxing. And I was sick with the sweats. I was pale and cold, and I went through extreme mood swings and hot flashes. I went through a series of different medications to help find something for my condition. 16 days later, on June 16th, I spent my 18th birthday in Rosecrans Treatment Center, and I spent about 50 days there. I learned that there is, in fact, a new life, like a different life than the insanity I had known for so long. I received the gift of life, the most precious and valuable gift anybody could ever ask for. And my experience with recovery has been nothing short of incredible and life-saving. And with that, I'll pass.
Thank you.
Good afternoon. I'm Leonard Noble, and I'm a recovering addict. And I'm really grateful to be able to come out and be a participant in this here activity today. I was a serious cocaine user and did a lot of drinking. And the big thing that I remember throughout the course of that, which was insanity, was the fact that it was not only just insane, but the despair, the hopelessness, and the shame that was associated with the drug use. And even more so for me because I was a person in the community that a lot of people looked up to because I was a functioning addict. But that shame was the number one thing that I remember, and that paranoia, like he was speaking about, trying to drive forward, constantly looking in the rearview mirror, And there was an individual who I used to use with who told me about this recovery process, which I had no belief in. But I was in a helpless, hopeless state of being and had nothing to lose because I was near death, and I decided to try and embark upon that. And in 1991, I went into, matter of fact, September of 91, I went into Doctor's Hospital at the time and came out, and thank God, never had to use again since that time. So this is my anniversary month, and I'm celebrating 17 years as a result of this program and this process called recovery. And it has been an amazing process, an amazing road. And the things that have unfolded for me are phenomenal. And I would never have imagined the things that I would have experienced had it not been for the that I went through that process. The spiritual connection, the 12 spiritual principles that I try to live my life by on a daily basis. One of the reasons why I'm here today, trying to give back and share information, my experiences, and so forth. I was in the hospital on Thursday of last week, and I was having a heart procedure done. And one of the two things that took place during that whole episode was, one, I told the doctors that I was recovering so they would know any kind of medication they need to deal with, to let them be aware of that. And two was the level of comfort, because a lot of people in the recovery process, because it is a worldwide process, who reached out and comforted me by phone calls and said, hey, man, it's going to be okay. Don't worry about this, that, and the other thing. Before, I would have had to resort to using alcohol and drugs to try to calm my nerves and deal with that whole ordeal and experience. And that's what happens now with me in this whole recovery process. And so now I'm a provider for the state, and we work with recovering people. And, it's funny because I see them go through their struggles all the time, and I can tell them, just relax, take it easy, one day at a time, so forth and so on. And it seems like it's cliches, but the reality of it is it's just things that have always worked over the time. It's proven and tested, and you try to give it to them and let them know that it's going to be okay. Because in reality, that's the case. It will be okay. The recovery process works. And the road to recovery is a wonderful road. I'm so grateful that I've been spared and that I'm on that path now, and things have just been excellent. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Shorty. I'm a grateful recovering addict. I am so grateful to be here today. I made a geographical change. Coming from the west side of Chicago to the Lake County area, I was a avid cocaine user, former Cook County correctional officer that just got sick and tired of being sick and tired. And my great change came on November the 8th of 2002 when I buried my mom. I truly came into the recovery process on a deathbed promise that I made to her with a master plan on returning to Chicago after getting some clean time. But in that process, something changed in me. I really wanted this. I have my 2 children with me, two of my 4 children with me, my 13-year-old daughter, Samira, and my 17-and-a-half-year-old daughter, Carly, who are such a great part of my recovery process. I'm here today as a mother in recovery, to let people know that recovery is possible with your children. I went through this whole process with my children. Is it hard? Yes. Is it a blessing? Yes. Just like I'm in recovery, my kids are in recovery also. That is a must for me. I have met so many awesome people in my life in this process. I would not trade one day in the struggles of keeping clean, because it's a maintenance procedure, just like the maintenance I did in my addiction. The recovery process is such a maintenance procedure. But I have people in my life today that when I get sidetracked, they're always there. My children are my greatest help. To let them know that we are so in tune to each other. When they see me going through some stuff, they're here to say, Mom, what are you doing? Have you called your sponsor? Or you need to call your sponsor when I really get inside myself, which is so easy to do. Cocaine is such the road that it took me to becoming homeless from where I had been, not having parents that either one of them, to becoming the addict that I was, losing not just the material things, but losing self. That's what it's all about for me, losing self. Today, I work every day of my life to gain self. Is it possible? Yes. Is it hard? It's only as hard as you make it. For me, today, life is about a total surrender. I don't stress about things. I put everything in God's hands and ask for his health, guidance, and strength, along with my sponsors, along with the meetings, along with doing step work. Once again, along with having very important people in my life, my whole entire network. I came through an agency called NACASA, which is one of the agencies I came through in the Lake County area, and now I'm an employee of NACASA. Those people put a faith in me that I could do the job. I've become so humble not knowing what it ever was to work for less than $10 an hour. When I first came out into the Lake County area with 3 children working for $5.15 an hour. And we made it. Bills were paid and we ate. If there's anything that I can say to any parent, let it be male or female with kids, please stand there. We have to do this for ourselves first, but think about the children. Think about our kids and how they look up to us to be there. And that's all I have to say.
I'd like to thank each and every one of our voices for sharing. At this time, we're going to take a few minutes and bring in a second panel of individuals in recovery to share their stories. So let's give them a hand once again. Recovery-oriented systems of care. It's one of the things that you'll be hearing from in the future as we're trying to develop and improve upon the system of recovery here in Illinois. So keep your minds open to that catchphrase, recovery-oriented systems of care.